There's around 14,000 licensed pharmaceutical products we can use in the UK, but sometimes that's just not enough for us. And this is where unlicensed or off-label medicines can come in handy. These terms can be tricky to get to grips with, but people need to be made aware of the licensing status before a prescription's written for them. And the prescriber needs to understand the extra responsibilities they're taking on too. So let's take a look. A drug becomes licensed after the company submits evidence and pays a fee to the MHRA to decide if the product is safe and effective for managing a specific condition in certain patient groups. If the MHRA are happy with the evidence, this becomes a licensed indication. As we start using the drug in practice, we might see unexpected benefits in other patient groups or for completely different conditions. We can build a decent evidence base for this practice, but because this is a licensed product being used out with the product license, this is an off-label use. A good example of this is using amitriptyline for pain. This was marketed for depression originally, but because it's less safe in overdose than SSRIs, it's now very rarely used for depression. In the time since it was marketed though, a huge body of evidence has built up demonstrating the benefit in neuropathic pain, migraines and even IBS symptoms. Now it's almost exclusively used for these conditions instead. Even though the manufacturers would pay a reduced fee of 30 grand to license the new indication, the drug is now sold so cheaply and people are using it anyway for the new indication, so they don't really have an incentive to pay this. And it's likely to remain an off-label use forever. Much of the prescribing for children falls into this category too, so it's really important we pre-warn parents about this to avoid any undue distress. Unlicensed medications are different because this can really mean three things. The drug is licensed in another country but not in the UK, so it needs to be imported, like the German drug dimethyl fumarate for psoriasis. The drug could be a licensed UK medication, but the form needs to be specially prepared. This is common for liquid medicines, and these are often called specials. Or, the drug is for a condition that's so rare that there's no incentive to apply for a license. An example of this would be treatments for rare conditions like certain lysosomal storage disorders. Regardless of the reason that the drug's unlicensed, it usually means the manufacturer sets the price extremely high for these preparations. So it's very important that this cost is checked with the pharmacy before writing a prescription. We looked into importing unlicensed hyoscine patches for a patient at our practice, and instead of £20 per month, which is the cost of the licensed product, we would have been charged over £1,000 a month for the unlicensed import. Unlicensed medicines have different legal requirements and they may not automatically come with a patient information leaflet. So it's really important we make sure the right information has been given to patients when we prescribe it. So we can either send the leaflet ourselves via Accurix or ask the pharmacy to print it off for us. So we now know what these terms mean and the cost implications for unlicensed medicines, but what about the legal and clinical responsibilities we take on when recommending these treatments? This can be tricky, and the guidance produced by the MHRA does explain this quite well, but even after reading this, a lot of people struggle. So I explain it this way. When a licensed drug is used for a licensed indication, the manufacturer takes on some responsibility for the effects of the drug and the safety of the product if anything were to go wrong as a result of its use. When we branch out into off-label use, the manufacturer retains some responsibility for the product, but the prescriber takes on more responsibility for the safety of the practice. And if a court of law deemed the prescriber's appraisal of the evidence supporting this practice to be inadequate, then they could be culpable. With unlicensed medicines, the prescriber takes on most of the responsibilities for both the practice and the product, and the manufacturer will only be culpable if there's a clear defect with the product resulting in harm. So we really need to be confident that the unlicensed medicine is the right thing to do before signing. When it comes to explaining all this, I've put too accurate messages in the comment section, I use as a template to communicate it. But this is best done in a consultation where people have the opportunity to ask questions and learn more about it. And hopefully, after watching this video, you'll be in a better position to answer them. See you next time.